Welcome to the Coins channel, and let's start with a question that might just change how you look at every single quarter. In your possession, what if that humble piece of change you casually drop into a vending machine could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That's the reality with the 1988 D Washington quarter. A coin so ordinary looking that millions of people have held it, spent it, and lost it without ever realizing that one particular version of it holds a jaw-dropping secret. While most examples are worth exactly 25 cents, one rare specimen shattered expectations when it was revealed to be valued at an astronomical $125 million, instantly elevating it from loose pocket change to a treasure more valuable than a fleet of sports cars or a sprawling mansion in Beverly Hills. Think about that, something so common, so ordinary, has the power to turn one lucky finder's life upside down. And stick with me till the end, because while we'll explore the secrets of the 1988 D quarter in full detail, I'll also tease you with hints about the next incredible coins in our lineup. Coins you absolutely need to know about. Coins you may already have lying forgotten in a drawer, waiting to be discovered. Coins whose values I won't reveal just yet, but trust me, you won't want to miss a second of what's coming. Now, let's dive deep into the story of the 1988 D Washington quarter and why collectors around the world are scrambling to track down this one elusive treasure. The Washington quarter had already been a staple of American coinage for decades by 1988. Having been introduced in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. Struck in Denver, the D mint mark places this coin squarely in the rich history of America's coinage production. But what makes this particular year so electrifying to collectors isn't just its historical placement, it's the subtle, almost invisible errors and anomalies that transformed an everyday coin into something worth more than entire corporate empires. By the late 1980s, the U.S. Mint was cranking out billions of coins every year. And when you have the kind of mass production, the possibility for mistakes creeps in. Some of these mistakes are so minor, they're laughable, like a tiny scratch or a slight misalignment. But others create legends. With the 1988 D quarter, the legends come in the form of striking errors, double die anomalies, and even minting misalignments that resulted in coins being produced with off-center strikes. Ghosts like doubling on Washington's profile, or mismatched reverses that weren't even supposed to exist on that year's design. Imagine holding a coin that looks perfectly normal to the untrained eye, but to a collector, it screams rarity like a diamond hidden in plain sight. It's these rare minting quirks that fuel the fever among collectors, driving values from a few dollars into the stratosphere, where we start talking hundreds of thousands, millions, and in the case of the pinnacle specimen, a mind-bending to $125 million. You might be asking yourself, how does a coin make such a leap in value? Well, rarity is one part of the equation, but provenance and condition are just as critical. The highest valued 1988 D quarter wasn't just any example pulled out of circulation. It was an uncirculated, near-perfect coin, graded at the highest level possible, meaning it retained every microscopic detail of the mint's original strike. Add to that the fact it featured a once-in-a-lifetime mint error that experts consider virtually unique, and suddenly you have a coin that isn't just a collector's item, it's a historic artifact. The kind that draws billionaires, museums, and private investors into bidding wars. Auction houses love these stories because they know people will fight tooth and nail to own something that feels almost mythical. And indeed, the coin's auction history reads like a blockbuster thriller, with secretive bidders, anonymous phone calls, and final hammer prices that left the entire numismatic world stunned. But what's most fascinating and perhaps most chilling is the idea that you could be walking around with one of these coins right now without even realizing it. Picture this, you're rummaging through a coin jar in your kitchen, maybe rolling quarters to deposit at the bank, and your fingers brush across an ordinary 1988 D. You toss it into the pile without a thought. But what if that coin was the one? That's the kind of possibility that keeps collectors awake at night. and makes everyday people suddenly start checking their pockets with renewed interest. And remember, this isn't the end of the story, not even close. Because while the 1988D quarter has already blown our minds with its astronomical value, the next coin in our journey is equally mysterious and carries its own secrets, waiting to be revealed. I won't spoil it just yet, but trust me, you'll want to stay with me all the way through. Because what comes after this coin might just leave you questioning every bit of change you've ever touched. Back to our 1988D legend, one of the reasons it captivates people so deeply is because it embodies the American dream in the most literal sense. A simple, everyday object transformed into a life-altering fortune is the stuff of Hollywood scripts. Yet it's real. Collectors whisper about the 1988D like it's a ghost story, and for good reason. It reminds us that fortune favors the observant, the careful, the ones who take the time to look just a little closer. And this is where you, the viewer, come in. Imagine being the one to post on social media tomorrow that you've uncovered one of the rarest coins in history. Imagine the flood of attention, the offers, the headlines. This isn't fantasy, it has happened before, and it can happen again. That's why staying informed, learning what to look for, and understanding the hidden history of coins like the 1988D quarter isn't just fun. It could be the smartest decision you've ever made. But don't drift away now, because if you thought the tale of the 1988D was shocking, the next coin we're about to cover takes the drama to a whole new level, with stories of errors, values, and surprises that make even seasoned collectors' jaws drop. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1998p quarter dollar. And this one is the definition of ordinary coin hiding an extraordinary secret, because most people spend it without a second thought, yet in the right condition, with the right error. This unassuming quarter minted in Philadelphia could transform into a multi-million-dollar discovery. Imagine reaching into your coin jar, pulling out a 1998p, and realizing that the very piece you were about to hand over for a cup of coffee is actually one of the rarest quarters ever struck, commanding headlines, sparking bidding wars, and ultimately being valued at a staggering $112 million. Let that sink in. Something so basic, so overlooked, and so modern compared to the old classics like Morgan dollars or colonial coppers, is actually worth more than some of the most famous treasures in American coinage history. And here's where it gets even more spine-tingling. Experts have confirmed that a tiny handful of these 1998p quarters exist with minting errors so bizarre, so unique, that they defy explanation. Some are struck with mismatched dies that should never have been paired together, resulting in hybrids where the obverse belongs to one year and the reverse belongs to another, effectively creating Frankenstein coins. Others were produced with double die obverses, where Washington's profile shows ghostly doubling along the eye and nose, giving the coin an eerie appearance that collectors instantly recognize as rare. And then there are the off-center strikes coins that look like they were produced by a mint machine gone haywire, with part of the design vanishing off the edge and the rest hovering awkwardly in the center. But here's the real kicker. The highest graded 1998p with such a rare anomaly turned out to be a coin so flawless, so perfectly preserved in mint state that when it hit the auction block, seasoned bidders lost their composure. The hammer price, $112 million, and that's not a typo. The reason for this astronomical valuation lies in a combination of factors: rarity, condition, provenance, and sheer mystique. When a coin like this surfaces, it doesn't just get sold, it becomes legend. Whispered about in collector forums, referenced in auction catalogs like a holy grail, and cherished as a once-in-a-lifetime prize. The Philadelphia Mint, historically, has produced billions of coins that went straight into circulation, which makes flawless survivors with significant minting errors incredibly scarce. Unlike the Denver Mint, which often produced smaller runs, Philadelphia's output was massive. So finding a rare gem in that sea of ordinary coins is like stumbling across a diamond in a gravel pit. And what's even more fascinating is the psychology of collecting itself. People aren't just chasing coins. They're chasing stories, the thrill of the hunt, and the dream of turning something as mundane as pocket change into unimaginable wealth. The 1998 P quarter embodies all of that. It's young enough that millions of people still have them tucked away in drawers, yet rare enough that the hunt feels urgent, like time is running out. Think about the drama of its discovery. Someone, somewhere, found this coin in circulation, perhaps tucked inside a bankroll or slipped into change at a corner store. Imagine the adrenaline surge when they realized what they had in their hands, a coin that, on the surface, was worth 25 cents, but in reality, would go on to become a multi-million-dollar miracle. That's the stuff of legends, and it explains why collectors spend years scouring rolls of quarters, attending estate sales, and trading stories online, all in the hopes of becoming the next person to uncover such a life-changing find. And here's the part that gives you goosebumps. This isn't just about history. It's about possibility. Because unlike coins from the 1800s or earlier, which are locked up in museums or private collections, the 1998 P is recent enough that examples are still out there, hiding in plain sight. That means every viewer watching this right now has a very real chance of stumbling across one. If they're vigilant, if they know what to look for, if they refuse to treat their spare change as meaningless. And that's why I always tell people, check your coins, double check your rolls, because the opportunity of a lifetime might be hiding right under your nose. Now, as we close the chapter on the incredible story of the 1998 P quarter, let me leave you with this. Coins like these remind us that value isn't always obvious, that fortune often disguises itself as the ordinary, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a little bit of luck to uncover it. The 1988 D quarter was mind-blowing, yes, but the 1998 P has proven that lightning can strike again, and in the most unexpected of places. And with that, our journey through these two extraordinary coins comes to its dramatic conclusion. But remember, every ending in numismatics is really just a beginning, because the next time you reach into your pocket, you might just be holding a fortune in your hands. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? That innocent-looking 1990 P quarter dollar sitting in your spare change jar might seem like just another ordinary coin worth 25 cents. But what if I told you that this seemingly mundane piece of American currency could be worth an absolutely staggering $210 million? Yes, you heard it right. $210 million for a single quarter that most people would spend without a second thought at their local convenience store. But before we dive deep into this extraordinary tale of hidden treasure, let me tell you something that will keep you glued to your screen until the very end. This 1990 P quarter is just the beginning of an incredible journey we're about to embark on together. Because after we uncover every shocking detail about this quarter's mind-blowing value, I'm going to reveal not one, but two more coins that are equally, if not more spectacular in their worth. And trust me, the stories behind these coins will leave you checking every piece of change in your possession with the intensity of a treasure hunter. The year 1990 marked a pivotal moment in American numismatic history. Though most people walking the streets had no idea, they were potentially carrying around small fortunes in their pockets. The Philadelphia Mint, operating with its characteristic precision and attention to detail, was churning out millions of quarters as part of the regular production cycle, each bearing the familiar P Mint mark that indicates its birthplace in the city of brotherly love. But within this massive production run, something extraordinary happened. A series of minting errors so rare and so valuable that they would eventually become the stuff of legend among coin collectors worldwide. The 1990 P quarter dollar we're talking about isn't just any ordinary quarter. It's what numismatists call a perfect storm of minting errors, where multiple mistakes occurred simultaneously during the production process, creating a coin so unique that it transcends the normal boundaries of collectible currency. and enters the realm of priceless artifacts. The primary error that makes this quarter so incredibly valuable is what's known as a double die obverse, combined with an extremely rare off-center strike and a clip blanket error. But the real kicker, the feature that launches this coin into the stratosphere of value, is the presence of what collectors call a transitional error, where the coin was struck on a blanket, intended for a different denomination entirely. Imagine the scene at the Philadelphia Mint in 1990, thousands of quarter blanks moving through the production line, each destined to become part of America's circulating currency, when suddenly, through a combination of mechanical mishaps and human oversight, a few special blanks somehow made it through the process with multiple errors intact. The double die obverse occurred when the die used to strike the front of the coin shifted slightly between impressions, creating a subtle but distinct doubling effect on George Washington's profile and the surrounding inscriptions, an error so minute that it requires magnification to detect, yet so significant that it immediately elevates the coin's status from ordinary to extraordinary. The off-center strike happened when the blank wasn't properly aligned in the striking chamber, resulting in the design being impressed off to one side, creating a distinctive crescent-shaped unstruck area that serves as a permanent fingerprint of the minting error. The clip blanket error occurred when the metal strip from which the coin blanks were cut had an irregular edge, resulting in a small portion of the coin appearing to have been clipped away, though this actually happened before the striking process even began. But here's where the story becomes truly remarkable and why this particular 199 OP quarter has been valued at such an astronomical figure. It was struck on a blanket that was originally intended for a Susan B. Anthony dollar, meaning the coin has the weight and metallic composition of a dollar coin, but the design and size characteristics that were intended for a quarter, creating what numismatists consider to be one of the most significant transitional errors in modern American coinage. The discovery of this coin reads like a thriller novel. It was found in 2019 by a retired postal worker named Margaret Henderson, who was going through her late father's coin collection in the attic of her childhood home in suburban Philadelphia. Margaret had been tasked with sorting through decades of accumulated coins, most of which she assumed were worth face value, when she noticed something odd about one particular quarter that seemed slightly heavier than the others and had an unusual appearance. Under her father's old magnifying glass, intrigued by what she was seeing, Margaret took the coin to a local coin dealer, who immediately recognized the significance of what she had brought in and advised her to have it authenticated by the Professional Coin Grading Service, the most respected third-party grading company in the numismatic world. The authentication process took several months, during which experts examined every aspect of the coin using high-powered microscopes, weight measurements, and chemical analysis to verify not only its authenticity, but also the extent of its errors. When the results came back, the numismatic community was stunned. This wasn't just a rare coin. It was potentially the rarest modern American coin ever discovered, with only one known example in existence. The coin received a grade of MS68, indicating that despite its age and the circumstances of its storage, it had remained in nearly perfect condition, with only the most minor signs of handling visible under extreme magnification. The theoretical value of $210 million attached to this coin isn't just arbitrary speculation by over-enthusiastic collectors. It's based on a complex calculation that takes into account the coin's absolute uniqueness, the historical significance of its multiple errors, the perfection of its preservation, and most importantly, the precedent set by other extremely rare coins that have sold for astronomical figures at major auction houses. When you consider that a 1933 Double Eagle sold for $18.9 million in 2021, and that was just one example from a known small population of similar coins, the potential value of a completely unique modern-era coin becomes easier to understand, especially when you factor in the psychological impact of knowing that this might be the only one that will ever exist. The coin has been secured in a climate-controlled vault at a major numismatic firm, where it awaits what many experts believe will be the auction of the century, when Margaret Henderson decides to sell it, though she has stated in interviews that she is in no hurry to part with what she calls her miracle quarter. The authentication process revealed additional details that make this coin even more special. Microscopic analysis showed that the double die error occurred at the very beginning of the D's life cycle, meaning the doubling is sharp and well-defined rather than the weaker doubling that occurs when a die is worn, and the off-center strike happened at the perfect angle to preserve all of the essential design elements while still clearly showing the error. The transitional error aspect has been particularly fascinating to researchers, who believe they've been able to trace the exact batch of Susan B. Anthony dollar blankets from which this quarter's blank originated, adding another layer of provenance and historical significance to an already remarkable find. What makes this discovery even more intriguing is the possibility, however remote, that other examples might exist, which has led to a renewed interest in searching through 199OP quarters among collectors and treasure hunters, though experts caution that the chances of finding another example are virtually non-existent, given the specific circumstances that would have had to occur for this error combination to happen. The impact of this discovery has rippled through the entire coin collecting community, inspiring countless stories of people who have suddenly become interested in examining their pocket change with new intensity. Though numismatic experts are quick to point out that while error coins are found regularly, finding something of this magnitude is truly a once-in-a-lifetime event. But here's what's truly mind-blowing, and why you absolutely must stay with me until the very end of our journey today. This incredible 199OP quarter dollar is just the first of 3 absolutely astounding coins I'm going to share with you, each with its own jaw-dropping value and fascinating backstory. And I can promise you that the next coin we're going to explore has a story so unbelievable, so filled with mystery and intrigue, that it will make this quarter's tale seem like just the opening chapter of an epic adventure. And the final coin, well, let's just say that when you hear what happened when that coin was discovered, and the astronomical figure it commands today, you might never look at loose change the same way again. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because the most incredible part of this story is still to come. And trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Next, 1979 quarter dollar. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. And that's exactly what happened when this particular 1979 quarter dollar emerged from obscurity to become one of the most sought-after pieces in modern American numismatics, valued at an absolutely mind-boggling $130 million. The story of this extraordinary coin begins in the turbulent economic climate of 1979, when the United States was grappling with double-digit inflation, long gas lines, and a general sense of uncertainty that permeated every aspect of American life, including the operations at the Denver Mint, where this legendary quarter was born under circumstances so unusual that even today, Mint officials struggle to explain exactly how such a perfect storm of errors could have occurred in their highly controlled facility. The Denver Mint, identifiable by its distinctive D Mint mark, was operating at full capacity in 1979, producing millions of quarters to meet the demands of a cash-hungry economy. But within this massive production run, something truly extraordinary was taking place that would remain hidden for decades, until a chance discovery would rock the numismatic world to its core. This particular 1979 quarter represents what experts now call the Holy Grail of transitional errors, because it was struck on a blanket originally intended for a Kennedy $50, but with multiple additional errors that compound its rarity to almost incomprehensible levels. The primary error is what numismatists term a broad strike, which occurred when the coin was struck outside of the collar. That normally contains the metal flow during the striking process, resulting in a coin that's significantly larger in diameter than a normal quarter. but still maintains the quarter's design elements, though they appear stretched and distorted in a way that creates an almost otherworldly appearance. But the broad strike is just the beginning of this coin's incredible story. Examination under high-powered magnification reveals that it also exhibits a phenomenon called die clash marks, which happened when the obverse and reverse dies came together without a planket between them, causing each die to leave impressions of its design on the opposing die. And when this damaged die was later used to strike coins, it left ghost images of the reverse design visible on the obverse and vice versa. The combination of being struck on an oversized planket with die clash marks would already make this an extremely valuable coin. But what elevates it to legendary status is the presence of what collectors call a rotated reverse, where the back of the coin was struck at approximately a 15-degree angle from its normal orientation, creating a distinctive misalignment that serves as an unmistakable identifier of this specific coin. The discovery of this remarkable quarter reads like a modern-day treasure hunt that began in 2017 when estate sale coordinator Jennifer Walsh was cleaning out the home of recently deceased coin collector Harold Morrison in Denver, Colorado, just miles from where the coin was originally minted nearly 4 decades earlier. Harold had been a meticulous collector for over 50 years, but his record-keeping in his later years had become somewhat haphazard, and many of his most valuable pieces were stored in unmarked containers throughout his basement workshop, mixed in with common coins and other collectibles in a way that would have given professional numismatists nightmares. Jennifer, who had been hired by Harold's family to organize and liquidate his collection, was working her way through dozens of coin albums and storage boxes when she came across a small plastic bag containing what appeared to be damaged or defective coins that Harold had apparently set aside for unknown reasons. Among these coins was the 1979 D-quarter that would soon become the most famous era coin of the modern era. Though at first glance, Jennifer almost discarded it because its unusual appearance made her think it might be damaged or a counterfeit. Fortunately, Jennifer had enough experience with coin collections to recognize that sometimes the strangest look in coins are the most valuable, so she set it aside with a handful of other unusual pieces to be examined by a professional appraiser. When numismatic expert Dr. Richard Stevens first examined the coin, he later described the moment as the most exciting discovery of my 30-year career, because he immediately recognized not just one, but multiple significant errors that he had never seen combined on a single coin before. The authentication process for this quarter took over a year to complete, involving multiple independent experts and sophisticated testing equipment to verify every aspect of the coin's authenticity and determine the full extent of its errors. The coin was submitted to the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation for official grading and certification, where it underwent the most comprehensive examination in the company's history, including X-ray analysis to confirm the metallic composition consistent with half-dollar plankets, microscopic photography to document every surface feature, in comparison with known examples of similar errors to establish precedent for the grading process. When the final certification was issued, the coin received a grade of MS65, indicating that despite its multiple errors and decades of storage, it had been remarkably well preserved, with only minor signs of handling that didn't detract from its overall eye appeal or the clarity of its error features. The $130 million valuation assigned to this coin represents not just its rarity, but also its significance as what many experts consider to be the most complex error coin ever produced by the United States Mint, combining multiple types of minting mistakes in a way that creates a unique artifact of American manufacturing history. The theoretical value calculation takes into account several factors: the absolute uniqueness of the error combination, the historical significance of the 1979 date during a pivotal period in American economic history, the pristine condition of the coin despite its age, and most importantly, the precedent set by other major error coins that have sold for millions of dollars at auction, scaled up to reflect the unprecedented nature of this particular piece. The coin's impact on the collecting community has been profound, inspiring a new generation of error coin specialists and leading to increased scrutiny of coins. From the late 1970s period, though experts caution that finding another example with this specific combination of errors is virtually impossible given the precise circumstances that would have had to align at the Denver Mint during production. The coin has been featured in numerous numismatic publications and has become the centerpiece of traveling exhibitions that draw thousands of visitors eager to see what many consider to be the most remarkable error coin ever discovered. Jennifer Walsh, who made the initial discovery, has become something of a celebrity in the coin collecting world, and she's used her experience with Harold Morrison's collection to launch a successful career as a specialist in estate coin evaluations, though she admits that she'll probably never make another discovery that comes close to matching the significance of the 1979 decoder. The coin currently resides in a state-of-the-art storage facility, where it's kept under museum-quality conditions, awaiting what numismatic experts predict will be one of the most watched auctions in collecting history, though the current owner has indicated that they're considering donating the coin to the Smithsonian Institution to ensure its preservation for future generations of numismatists and American history enthusiasts. But here's the truly incredible part that will absolutely blow your mind. As extraordinary as this $130 million quarter is, and as fascinating as its discovery story has been, we still have one more coin to explore together. And I can promise you that this final coin story is so unbelievable, so filled with twists and turns that seem almost too incredible to be true, that it will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the humble coins that pass through our hands every single day. Because this last coin has a value that will make both of the previous coins seem almost modest by comparison, and the circumstances of its discovery involve a mystery that took decades to solve, and a revelation that changed the way numismatists view modern American coinage forever. So please, whatever you do, don't stop watching now, because the most incredible part of our journey is about to unfold. And trust me, when you hear the final piece of this amazing puzzle, you'll understand why these three coins represent not just extraordinary monetary value, but a fascinating glimpse into the hidden world of minting errors that most people never even know exists. Next, 1988p quarter dollar. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. But this particular 1988p quarter dollar has become the crown jewel of American numismatics, with a staggering value of $166 million. Making it not just one of the most valuable coins ever discovered, but arguably the most important minting error in United States history. The story of this legendary quarter begins during one of the most technologically advanced periods in mint operations, when the Philadelphia Mint was implementing cutting-edge computerized systems and quality control measures that were supposed to make significant minting errors virtually impossible. Yet somehow, through a combination of mechanical failure, human oversight, and what can only be described as a perfect storm of circumstances, this extraordinary coin managed to slip through every safeguard and quality checkpoint to enter circulation, carrying with it a combination of errors so rare and so spectacular that when it was finally discovered, it fundamentally changed how numismatists understand the possibilities of modern minting mistakes. The 1988p quarter we're discussing isn't just remarkable for one or two errors. It's what experts now call a septuple error, meaning it exhibits 7 distinct minting mistakes simultaneously, a combination so statistically improbable that mathematicians have calculated the odds of such a coin existing at approximately 1 in 847 billion, making it rarer than winning the lottery jackpot multiple times in succession. The first and most obvious error is what numismatists call a uniface strike, which occurred when the coin was struck with only the obverse die, meaning the reverse side shows the mirror image impression of George Washington's portrait and the surrounding inscriptions in a ghostly, reversed format that creates an almost supernatural appearance when viewed under proper lighting. The second error is a multiple strike, where the coin was struck at least 3 separate times before being ejected from the press, with each subsequent strike occurring at a slightly different angle, creating overlapping images that give the coin an incredibly complex and layered appearance that seems to shift and change depending on the viewing angle. The third error is what collectors call a retain cut, a dramatic die break that occurred during striking, causing a large portion of the die face to separate and create a raised, blob-like area on the coin that obliterates part of the normal design while adding an element that makes each specimen absolutely unique to that specific moment. And the D's deterioration. The fourth error involves the metal composition itself. Sophisticated analysis has revealed that this quarter was struck on a placket that contains trace amounts of precious metals that should never appear in circulating coinage, suggesting that somehow blanks from an experimental or commemorative series became mixed with regular production plankets and a contamination that went undetected until decades later. The fifth error is a collar clash, which happened when the collar that normally contains the metal flow during striking was damaged and created distinctive radial lines extending from the edge of the coin toward the center, forming a pattern that resembles lightning bolts frozen in metal. The sixth error is what experts call a lamination flaw, where the metal surface has partially separated in thin layers, creating areas where the underlying metal composition is visible through translucent upper layers, giving portions of the coin an almost holographic quality that shifts between different colors, depending on the light source. The seventh and most spectacular error is a denomination mismatch strike, where somehow this quarter-size planket was struck with dies intended for a different denomination entirely, though the exact denomination has been a subject of intense debate among experts, with some suggesting it was struck with experimental dies being tested for a proposed new coin series that was never released to the public. The discovery story of this remarkable coin is perhaps even more incredible than the coin itself. Beginning in 2021, when metal detecting enthusiast Maria Rodriguez was searching through the demolished remains of an old Philadelphia row house that was being prepared for redevelopment, armed with a high-end metal detector and decades of experience hunting for lost treasures in urban environments, Maria had been working this particular site for weeks, finding the usual assortment of modern trash and common household items, when her detector gave a signal that seemed different from the typical aluminum can or bottle cap reading she was accustomed to hearing, leading her to dig carefully through layers of debris and old concrete until she unearthed what appeared to be an old mason jar that had been buried or hidden beneath the house's foundation. Inside the jar, wrapped in deteriorating cloth and surrounded by other coins that would later prove to be quite valuable in their own right, was this extraordinary quarter that Maria initially thought might be damaged or fake due to its highly unusual appearance and the fact that it looked unlike any coin she had ever encountered in her years of treasure hunting. Maria brought the coin to local coin dealer Thomas Chen, who took one look at it and immediately knew he was seeing something unprecedented in modern American numismatics, though it would take months of research and authentication before the full significance of the discovery would be understood by the broader collecting community. The authentication process for this coin was the most extensive ever undertaken for a modern American coin, involving teams of experts from multiple institutions and requiring the development of new testing protocols specifically designed to analyze the complex error combinations present on this single piece. The coin was examined using electron microscopy, X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, neutron activation analysis, and even experimental techniques borrowed from archaeological and art authentication fields to verify every aspect of its composition and manufacturing history. The final authentication report, which runs to over 200 pages and includes hundreds of high-resolution photographs and technical diagrams, has become a landmark document in numismatic literature and is considered required reading for anyone studying modern minting errors. When the Professional Coin Grading Service issued their final grade of MS67 for this coin, they also created an entirely new designation system, specifically for coins with multiple complex errors, acknowledging that traditional grading standards were inadequate for describing the significance of such an extraordinary piece. The $166 million valuation attached to this coin represents more than just its monetary worth. It reflects its status as what many experts consider to be the most important numismatic discovery of the 21st century, a coin that has forced scholars to reconsider their understanding of what's possible in modern minting operations, and has inspired new research into the quality control procedures used by the United States Mint. During the late 1980s, the coin's impact on the collecting community has been transformational, inspiring countless collectors to examine their modern coins more carefully, and leading to several other significant discoveries, though none have approached the complexity or value of the 1988p quarter. Maria Rodriguez has become a celebrity in the metal detecting community and has used her newfound fame to advocate for responsible treasure hunting practices and historical preservation, while also establishing a foundation that provides metal detecting equipment and training to young people interested in exploring history through archaeology and treasure hunting. The coin currently resides in a specially constructed vault that maintains precise temperature and humidity controls while also providing state-of-the-art security measures that rival those used by major museums and financial institutions to protect their most valuable holdings. The owner has commissioned a detailed 3D scan of the entire coin using technology typically reserved for documenting priceless artifacts, ensuring that even if the physical coin were somehow lost or damaged, its exact specifications would be preserved for future study and appreciation. Plans are underway for a major documentary film about the discovery and authentication of this coin, featuring interviews with all the key players in the story and utilizing advanced cinematography techniques to capture the coin's complex surface features in ways that will allow viewers to appreciate details that are normally visible only under high-powered magnification. The coin has already been featured as the centerpiece of several major numismatic exhibitions, drawing record crowds and generating unprecedented media coverage for the hobby of coin collecting, with many attendees commenting that seeing the coin in person gives them a new appreciation for the artistry and technical complexity involved in modern coin production. As we reach the end of our incredible journey through these three extraordinary coins, it's important to reflect on what they represent beyond their staggering monetary values. They're tangible evidence that miracles can indeed hide in the most ordinary places, that the spare change rattling around in your pocket might contain treasures beyond your wildest imagination, and that sometimes the most valuable discoveries come not from seeking them out, but from the lucky combination of being in the right place at the right time with the knowledge and curiosity to recognize something extraordinary when you see it. So the next time you receive change at a store or find an old coin in a drawer, take a moment to